everyone, in here we will learn about TOEFL listening comprehension section.
The listening comprehension section on the paper-based TOEFL measures our ability to understand spoken English, especially in academic context. It has a total of 50 questions and it lasts 30 to 40 minutes. It is divided into 3 parts, Part A, Part B, and Part C. Part A are short conversations. This section has 30 dialogues and 1 question in each dialogue. Part B are long conversations. Different from Part A, which has 30 dialogues for each question, Part B only has 2 dialogues. Each dialogue has several questions. Then, Part C is longer talks. In this section, there are 3 talks, and each of them has some questions. In Part A, you will hear 30 very short conversations between a man and a woman. For each one, you will hear a question and choose the best answer from the 4 choices written in your textbook. For example, you might hear a dialogue like this, and in your textbook, you will find a multiple choices like this. Then, how do we choose the right answer? First, we can focus on the second line of the dialogue. In the short conversations, the second line usually contains the answer to the test question. Therefore, you should focus on the second line. Then, the second strategy is to choose answer with synonyms. The correct answer usually does not have the same words as the conversation. It expresses the same meaning using different words. It uses synonyms. For example, you hear the woman say he forgot to turn in his research paper. In your textbook, you read multiple choices like this. Forgot and didn't remember has the same meaning, so the answer is D. Then, you can also use the third strategy, avoid words with the same sounds. If an answer has the same words as the conversation, or if it has words that sound similar, it is probably the wrong answer. Look for an answer with the same meaning, not the same sound. For example, is this conversation. You can find mistake and paper words here. And in your textbook, you can find the words in the 3 choices. So, using the 3 strategies, you can conclude that the answer is D. Using the first strategy, focus on the second line, we can know that the answer is about Billy who forgot to turn in his research paper. Then, using the second strategy, we found that the synonym of forget is didn't remember. From the third strategy, we exclude A, B, and C because there are similar sounds as spoken by the speakers, paper, and mistake. These are some common questions on Part A. You can use the 3 strategies I explained before for answer these questions. Then, about draw conclusions about who, what, and where. In many conversations, you'll have to make an inference from what the speakers are saying. Aside from the common questions before, you might hear questions like this. First is who. Let's see the example. The question is, who is the man? You can take some clues from the woman and the man conversation. There are assignments, world class, homework, and quiz. With those, we know that the man is someone from the education field. The closest answer are C and D. Then, because the woman asked the man about the assignment she missed when she was absent, we know that the woman is the student and the man is the teacher. So, the right answer is C. The man is a teacher. Next is what? This is the example. The question is, what will the man probably do next? We found some clues here. Library, check out, and take home. They are in the library and will do something about the book. The man will take the book home and he will go to the circulation desk for that. If you're hesitant about using the clues for these questions, you can use the avoid words with the same sounds tips. We found the word books and library in A, B, and C. So the answer is D. The next question is where. Look at this example. The question is, where does this conversation probably take place? From the conversation, we found some clues: water, sand, and sunscreen. The place where there are water and sand and people who use sunscreen is beach. So the answer is B. Then, next is about active and passive sentence. Here is the example. The question is, what does the woman imply? The woman said about Sally who opened a new checking account. In passive sentence, the subject received the action, the subject doesn't do it. In the example, Sally opened a new checking account. It is an active sentence. Then, we change it to passive, it becomes a new checking account was opened. Checking account then means a bank account. So, the answer is C. And we can also use the strategy where we avoid the words with the same sounds. The choice A, B, and D have the check words. So we choose C because it doesn't have a check word. Then, about more than one noun. This is the example. The question is, what does the woman say about the band? In a conversation, the woman mentions two names, the noun Mara and Robert. Mara replaced Robert. Using the synonym strategy, replace means took someone or something place. Here, Mara replaced Robert, so Mara took Robert's place. The answer is D. Then about negative expressions. Here is the example. The question is, what does the woman say about the trip? Focus to the second line. The woman say, we didn't exactly drive slowly. In negative expressions, the correct answer contains the opposite word. Let's take from the example. Didn't is a negative word. Then, we should find the opposite word from slowly. The opposite word of slowly is quickly. So the answer is A. Here is other examples of negative expressions. Negative expressions can be a regular negative with not. It can also contain nobody, none, nothing, or never. Then it can also use prefixes like an, in, or this. But the strategy is the same. The answer will always be the opposite word. Then about double negatives. This is the example. The question is, what does the woman say about the concert? Focus on the second line. The woman say, it isn't impossible for the concert to take place. When we found a double negatives like this, the answer is positive. Isn't impossible. Isn't is negative and impossible is also negative. Negative and negative, positive. Isn't impossible means possible. In A, there is a negative word, no. So, it is not the right answer. B also has a negative word, not. D is the same because can't is also a negative word. Then the answer is C. It doesn't have a negative word. Here is another example of double negative words. Then, about almost negative. Almost negative words means almost not completely not. For example, if someone says, I barely finished the test in time, it means that he did finish in time, but with not much time left over. Here are some almost negative expressions. Here is an example of almost negative question. The question is, what does the man imply? And as you can see, the man said that he had barely enough money. Almost negative means almost no. So barely enough means he already paid, but he has no money left. Next is about agreement and disagreement. These are expressions that show agreement with a positive statement. For example, is this conversation where the man said, so do I. That means the man agreed with the woman about the lecture that was really boring. Then, these are the example of agreement with negative statement. In the example, the man said, neither do I. Means that he agreed with the woman about the homework that was not difficult. Here are other expressions showing agreement. Then, when we disagree with a statement, we can use these expressions. In the example, the man said, I couldn't agree with you less. Means that he disagreed with the woman about the lecture. Next is about uncertainty. Uncertainty means not sure or not really sure. These are some expressions that might be used for showing uncertainty. In the example, the man shows uncertainty by saying, I'm not so sure about that. Then, about suggestions. Here are some expressions for giving suggestion. And here are expressions to agree with the suggestion. In the example, the woman suggests to go to Starbucks, and the man agreed to the woman's suggestion. Then, here are some expressions to refuse a suggestion. It is not always refused with no or I'm sorry, but the answer can be like this. In the example, the man answered with, can I take a rain check? It's similar to, can we do it another time? Next is about emphatic expressions of surprise. Sometimes, a speaker expresses surprise by emphasizing certain words. In this case, we know that the speaker did not expect something to be true. He or she had assumed that the opposite was true. For example, in this conversation, the man emphasizes the word did, and the answer for the question is the opposite from what the man has said. The truth is the opposite. The man said he did get a new car, so the answer may be he didn't get a new car, because the man thought that Paul didn't get a new car. The closest answer from what we infer is D. Paul would not get a new car. Emphatic stress used to show surprise. If a sentence has a be verb or a helping verb, we emphasize that. Becomes louder, longer, and higher in pitch. They often begins with then or so, like these examples. If the sentence has just an ordinary verb with no be verb or helping verb, we add do, does, or did. and emphasize it. Then, the next is about wishes. The word wish implies that the wish is impossible. Usually, the reality is the opposite from the wish. Look at the example. The man said he wished he could go. Because wish is not true and the reality is the opposite, so the answer is that he can't go. The answer is B. He is unable to go to the concert. These are the other examples of wish. An affirmative wish implies a negative reality, and a negative wish implies an affirmative reality. The reality is the opposite of the wish. A wish with a past tense verb is talking about the present. Like the example, I wish I had time to help. Had is past tense, so the reality is I don't have time to help now. Don't have use present tense. Then, a wish with a past perfect tense verb is talking about the past. I wish I had finished it. Had finished, had plus verb 3 is past perfect tense. Then the reality is the past. I didn't finish it in the past. Didn't finish is past tense. Next, about untrue condition. Conditional sentence are something like wishes. In unreal conditional sentence, the implication is that the opposite of the condition is true. Look at the example. The woman said, if I had time, I would go. Like wishes, the truth, the reality, is the opposite from the condition. So, when the woman said, if I had time, the reality is she didn't have time. And when the woman said, I would go, the reality is she won't go. The answer is, it is impossible for her to go. An affirmative unreal condition implies a negative reality, and a negative unreal condition implies an affirmative reality. An unreal condition with a past tense verb is talking about something that's not true in the present. Then, an unreal condition with a past perfect tense verb is talking about something that wasn't true in the past. In untrue condition, use were instead of was, even if the subject is I, or she, or he. And sometimes we make conditional sentence without if. Then we invert the subject and verb in the conditional clause. Then, about phrasal verb and idioms. Many questions in part A contain phrasal verbs. For example, is like these questions. The woman said about the meeting was called off by the director. The wrong answer tried to fool us with the word's other meaning. The only option without the word call or phone is only D. So the answer is D, because called off means cancel.
In part B, you will hear the long conversation between a man and a woman. For each one, you will hear several questions and could choose the best answer from the 4 choices written in your textbook. The conversations are usually about school life, academic subjects, or areas of general interest. Here are some strategies for part B. First, if you have time, look ahead at the answer choices so you can be ready for what's coming. Second, listen carefully to the first line of the conversation. It often contains the main idea, and you will often be asked about that. Third, try to draw a conclusion about the situation of the conversation, who is talking and what is happening. As you listen, follow along with answer in the textbook and try to figure out the correct answer. If you're not sure about an answer, Make your best guess. Don't leave any answer blank. Last, use any remaining time to look ahead at the answer to the next question. The first is anticipate the topic. In the few seconds before the conversation starts, look quickly at the answer choices. Look at the words and expression and try to guess what the topic will be. Look at the groups of answer choices to try to guess what the question will be. Then you will be ready to listen for the answer. Then, let's see to the example. Look at these answer choices. The question is, what do you think the conversation will be about? From the answer choices, we can find some clues. There are textbooks, bookstore, books, money, finished using them, buy, sell to the bookstore. After we look at the words and expression, and also the group of answer choices, we can find the topic. It is selling used books to the bookstore. Next, it's about anticipate the question. Try to predict the question. Look again at each group of answer choices. What do you think the question will be? From the answer choices, the question will probably be, what is the topic of the conversation? In part C, you will hear 3 talks, each about 2.5 minutes long. For each one, you will hear several questions and choose the best answer from the 4 choices written in your textbook. The conversations are usually about school life, academic subjects, or areas of general interest. Here are some strategies for Part C. First, if you have time, look ahead at the answer choices so you can be ready for what is coming. Second, listen carefully to the first line of the conversation. It often contains the main idea, and you will often be asked about that. Third, try to draw a conclusion about the situation of the conversation. Who is talking and what is happening? As you listen, follow along with the answer in the textbook and try to figure out the correct answer. If you are not sure about an answer, make your best guess. Don't leave any answer blank. Use any remaining time to look ahead at the answer to the next question. First, about anticipate the topic. In the few seconds before the conversation starts, look quickly at the answer choices. Look at the words and expression and try to guess what the topic will be. Look at the group of answer choices to try to guess what the question will be. Then, you will be ready to listen for the answer. Now, let's see the example. Look at these answer choices. What do you think the conversation will be about? From the answer choices, we can find clues. There are managing time, time management study, how they spend their time. After we look at the words and expression and also the group of answer choices, we found the clues. And from the clues, we know that the topic is managing time. The next is anticipate question. Try to predict the question. Look again the answer for the first question. What do you think the question will be? from the answer choices, the question will probably be, what is the main topic of this talk?